yesterday. And if you heard the press conference in its entirety, it wasn't just James Harden talking about how Philadelphia was his first choice. It was how Daryl Morey was also talking about a possible 3-team trade originally. And what I couldn't figure out was whether or not he meant, whether or not originally, as Daryl Morey said, did originally mean when James Harden was leaving Houston, or did originally mean this time around when he talked to Sean Marks, GM of the Brooklyn Nets? That's what I couldn't figure out. That was ambiguous to me. I couldn't. It was a little interesting the way it was phrased yesterday. But without further ado, this is James Harden talking about coming to Philadelphia and how Philadelphia was the number one place that he wanted to go to since his Houston days. Here he is talking about that. I swear. Here he is.
Originally, when I was going through everything I was going through, in Houston, Philly was my first choice. It just didn't happen. So, but just detailed, I don't really want to get into, the Brooklyn situation. I just knew, for a very long time this was a perfect fit. And obviously you got a big man, the best big man in the league in Joel. And then obviously the coaching, just from top to bottom, it made sense. And I'm just happy and blessed that I'm here. And as Doc and everybody knows and everybody wants is to win and be the last team standing. So I'm excited for the opportunity.
The things he said about Doc Rivers yesterday were off the charts. And we had heard, even going into last year, that James Harden wanted to be in Philadelphia more so than he wanted to be in Brooklyn. It just didn't work out that way. As he pointed out in his press conference yesterday, yes, players have a lot of power. They don't have all the power in terms of choosing where they're going next. They basically present a list, 1, 2, and 3, and Brooklyn was probably 2 or 3 on that list, where Sixers were number 1, just couldn't make it happen. Now, the other thing he said was Doc Rivers. And he said Doc Rivers is one of the greatest coaches ever in basketball. Why wouldn't he want to be led by that? So, coming in, James Harden has a tremendous amount of respect for Doc Rivers. And I also thought this was interesting. For a guy who's been an MVP, a guy who's been a 3-time scoring champion in the NBA, a many-time All-Star, he acknowledged that at this point in his career, 32 years old, there's still a lot to learn. Why wouldn't he want to learn from Doc Rivers? And regardless if you like Doc Rivers or not, if you have a player coming in with that attitude, with that mindset of, this is the place I've always wanted to be anyway, and now I get to play for one of the best coaches ever, a guy I can learn from, that's the exact mindset you want a player to have, regardless if they're a $35 to $40 million a year player, regardless if you're about to sign them to a longer-term deal, regardless of how old they are or how accomplished they are in the NBA. That's the attitude and mindset you want a player to have that's about to make a pretty chunk of change off your dime here in Philadelphia. So I love that.